You guys were together. Take me back to that day. You were asleep, Milo.
Yeah.
You were taking a nap, and then what happens? Like, where were you? What were you doing?
It was about 3:10, 3:05, maybe 3:10. Me and my mom were just watching as the strong winds they were blowing people's roofs off. Our own roof was creaking and shaking, and we were kind of concerned about that. We were thinking about leaving just for safety, but we didn't want to go in the carport because of potential flying debris. That's what we were thinking, and we were kind of just like, no power, no nothing like that. So we were watching this one power line that was continuously leaning kind of, and just, watching that and hoping that didn't fall. But it was probably, I think 3:05 we were doing that with all the wind. 3:15 we started smelling smoke. So we went in my mom's back room and we could see smoke. I'm not sure where it started, but it looked like it was above our house, kind of below the bypass, in between that area. And we lived in Pauwala, the first right up into Lahaina Luna. So we smelled smoke, and we weren't too worried about it because it wasn't anything intense at that point. It wasn't coming of our neighborhood or anything. Only a few minutes passed after that, and the smoke started coming over our neighborhood, and that was when we woke Milo up.
So that had to be the worst wake-up call.
Yeah, it was.
You're like, what? Like,
yeah, I don't even know.
What did they tell you? They was like, we gotta go?
Yeah, that's kind of just what I remember. Then I just grabbed my bag. That's kind of.
Did you have a to-go bag ready, or just your stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you'd already.
We had to-go bags ready, because we knew maybe worst case scenario, just in case, we packed a few things, just like, bare essentials. And if thankfully, I mean, we thought, because we saw the fire and we're like, this might get really bad, so I grabbed like my ID, the cash I had on me, my diploma, my phone, chargers, tons of water, like 12 water bottles I fit in my backpack. So my backpack was pretty heavy, but we just grabbed everything that was in immediate need.
How'd you guys end up at the waterfront? Like, what led you guys there? Were you just being chased by the fire, and that's where you ended up?
Yeah, we were just being chased because we tried to get back in our car and try to drive away from it, and then we just got trapped from the people getting out of their car. So we just jumped in the water because we were right next to it.
So the cars were kind of jammed up?
Very much. It took us like 30 minutes to get out of our neighborhood, and usually takes us, turning out of your neighborhood doesn't take long. And yeah, it was just backed up all the way to Front Street, and we were debating on going left or right on Front Street, and we went right originally, and then parked our car at this children's church. I think it's called Children of the Rainbow. Parked our car there and tried to run up and out to head north, but that was totally blocked by just fallen things, debris, fire. So we ran back, got in our car, and tried to drive left on Front Street, and it was just totally blocked up, and no cars were moving. And then we saw, I think we weren't the first in the water, but we were some of the first. I think like the first 5, there was us 3 and then like another family that jumped in right after us, and that was we jumped in, and it was just crossing the street. Things were starting to light on fire right behind us. Like, the only way to go was in the water.
Yeah, that was my next question, is going to be like, that seems like a very last-ditch effort to
Absolutely.
To put yourself in that situation, to jump in the water. That moment of like going, what did you guys talk about it? Or you were just like, let's go, or how did that work?
A little bit. We were up in the Lahaina outlets, because we ran up in there and tried to run through the Lahaina outlets, but it was blocked. So we ran back, and we kind of all froze for like a split second, and we were like, what do we do? And we're like, because we mentioned before, like, if things get really bad, we can always jump in the water. We mentioned that a few times. And so we ran back down, and we took refuge in this person's like yard for a few seconds just to collect ourselves. It was right by the water, and we knew we could jump in if we needed to. And yeah, we were like, I think it's time. Like, we should get in the water.
What'd you have with you when you jumped in? You had I saw you grabbed one of those hats that the guy makes there.
Yeah, I just had nothing on me. Like, my hat fell into the water, so I just found another one where I put my bag, and that's just about it. I just had my shirt and my pants.
And you had a mask or clothes, or what
Yeah.
did you use
So
for that?
we used, I actually have the thing I used to cover
Yeah.
my face with
check
me,
it out,
to
yeah.
hang out. He had his backpack with him, his backpack he just got for school. He stashed it in this cave on that shoreline. I had my backpack with all my stuff. I put it on my front. That's what I was videoing on, like this. My mom had her backpack with, you know, our documents and stuff like that, and that's it.
So you had at least some water with you.
Yep, I had water. I brought her all our water. It was in my backpack.
What were those
Easily.
the conditions like, though? Because, I mean, you're talking about hurricane force winds. The waves must have been crashing into you as well, but you're just in the moment of watching what's unfolding in front of you.
Thankfully, immediately after we got in, the water was okay. The wind, though, was, I mean, everyone saw it. It spread in minutes down to Front Street. The wind was going crazy. I mean, I don't know how fast, but hurricane force winds. I mean, it was bad. And yeah, like you said, his like fitted hat blew straight off his head, and like, you know, it was, you know, palm trees bending over, wind, like I said, roof panels coming off. It was that windy. And then we were just trying to like cover our eyes because of the smoke and
also, I assume,
all that.
like the sparks, right?
Yeah.
I heard somebody describe it like fire hail.
Yeah, I would absolutely. I could see that, especially when we were coming down Lahaina Road. It was just like shooting. I heard someone describe it as like someone throwing like baseballs of fire. It was exactly like that. Yeah, it was just coming down, and some pieces were really big, like embers like that big chunks of whatever. So we were lucky enough to be in the water, so even like we made sure our hair was wet was one thing, because I saw someone their hair caught an ember and started like little spark, you know, could have become bad, and their friend like wet their hair. So I was like, wait, we got to get our hair wet. And you know, of course we're in the water, so most of our limbs, I mean, I was how far above the water were you, do you think? How
like
much of the
to right here?
That's about where I was, because I was crouching down, because my mom and him are shorter than me, so I was about here too. So we knew, like, you know, if we were like this, our hands were covered, our faces were okay from the embers. But
could you feel the heat? Was that
absolutely?
What was that like? How would you describe that heat? Like opening an oven, or what was that?
Yeah,
like?
it's kind of like, that's a perfect description. It's kind of like when you open an oven and you're kind of like, imagine if you're like grabbing, you know, cookies out of the oven and that is blowing on you. That's what it felt like. That's very accurate.
What was the main thing that kept running through your mind when you're in there? Are you worried about your life? You're just not getting burned? You're worried about your dad? Like what's really, you know, each other? What were you know, what was going through your mind?
Immediately after we jumped in, we all, I think, felt some relief, because we felt that we were safe in the water. He was worried about our dad a lot, because he works in Lahaina, so we were wondering if he was still at his shop in Lahaina or what was going on with that. Thankfully, he was up country, but also our mom. We were both very worried about our mom, and that's kind of what kept us occupied, was making sure her breathing, because she gets migraines really bad from stuff like smoke, and her eyes are super sensitive to stuff like that. So we were worried about her eyes and her breathing. So that was our main concern.
What were the conversations like in the water?
That's a good question. We wanted to save our breath, so we tried to only like say things that were necessary. So we were just telling people that, like, or we're telling ourselves, and you know, I was trying to reiterate, and all of us, like a mantra, like, it's gonna be okay, we're gonna get out of this, like, we're safe in the water, there's people around us, they're safe. Just that over and over throughout the night. And periodically, Milo, you were mentioning some things. Do you remember at all? I can't really.
No, I don't even.
Yeah.
I remember you're like, hey, it's gonna be okay, Milo. Like
Yeah.
I remember
that
some
was
of the video that you were.
That was a common. I mean, because that was helping me. For me, helping people, and especially them, helps me stay calm. So I just kept, like, it was for them to keep them okay, but it was also for me to keep myself okay.
It was like reinforcing that
Completely.
in your mind that you're gonna
Yep.
be okay. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. What are you gonna remember the most from that experience in the water?
Probably just how smoky it was. That's probably just the main thing, just how smoky it was. It's pretty crazy.
I think it's interesting, Mo. I think it was when the firemen walked up the road and were like, everything's gonna be okay. And it was like a series of moments where it was like we felt safe and then we didn't, because they dropped us off at the parking lot in the Cannery Mall, and you felt safe there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. We kind of took almost shifts, kind of assessing what was happening, because I mean, in the water, it was kind of my mom's my mom that we were more worried about. She was kind of the one that was having the most trouble, and then when we were on the shore, that was about 12. Milo was having the most trouble. He was, scared.
Cold, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was
Stress.
super cold while I was in the water.
Do you remember like what you were saying while we were on the shore?
I was just mostly just scared for my dad and stuff, and that.
Yeah.
And we were just waiting for the firemen to come here. I was like, I was just thinking like, they're not gonna come. We just have to wait. And then we probably waited like 3 more hours for the firemen to come, and then we just walked back.
So being in the water for 5 hours, you got to start like you don't have any fat on you. You guys are like, young kids. You got to be shivering. Are you shivering, or is the adrenaline getting you through it, or how do you get through that?
I was okay. I am lucky. I have pretty high cold tolerance. My mom was really cold though. She was shivering, and she was like, she was talking like, that's when we were worried about her, because her breathing was, shuddery. She was shaking. You were cold too, huh, Mama?
Yeah, I was super cold. At the end, I was like just shaking and stuff.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't get cold.
When did you know it was okay to get out?
When like the winds all died down, and just like most of the fires that they couldn't really put out were gone. Like the house fires where it burns down, and it's just like the fuel that's left is burning, and that's when we knew, because that stuff doesn't really spread. It's too low.
Yeah.
When you guys get out finally and you live there, do you even recognize where you are?
No.
Nope. And especially when it hit me that we were like a place I didn't even know, was when we eventually got picked up, and it was when we were driving to the sanctuary at Maui Prep. We were driving by like Waikuli, past the Cannery Mall and all that stuff, and just either direction you looked was just gone. Completely either up in flames or at that point just coal.
So you just emerged to a whole different universe.
Completely. And then once we were at, I think it was the post office or police station, like that area, that's where it was like, we finally felt safe. Like there was such a sigh of relief. We got on the bus, and there's even a picture I took of Milo and my mom sitting together smiling. Like we were just like feeling pure relief, nothing else. No thinking about our house or the material possessions, anything, just like thankful to be still.
If you hadn't have gone through it personally, would you think the story is like real?
Probably not.
Yeah. I was thinking about that while I was telling this story to a few people. I'm like, I know this sounds like I'm exaggerating, but like you can see from the videos, like that's why I'm glad I took them, because a lot of people, like especially on the mainland, have trouble grasping how intense it was. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this fire compared to California fires. The thing that's special and crazy about this one is we have way less resources, we're landlocked, and it affected, like a whole town burned down, not a portion of a town, a whole town and more. Lahaina is completely burned.
Talk about the video also real fast, and then I think I'll get your dad in here. What because some people would not be thinking like, all right, I'm gonna Snapchat this. What got you to think, I need to record this, I need to document this?
I guess it's because I felt safe in the water was when I felt most safe, and I knew I could have hands free even if I was videoing, because I had my backpack up, straps over my shoulders with the backpack facing forward, and I kind of just like put my phone there, and that was when the wind died down. That's another thing. The videos look crazy. That's when it was the most clear, because I knew, like when it got bad, my phone was in that pocket. I just shoved it down, and you know, covered our face. But that's like when you see the videos, that's when the smoke was the most clear and you could see. There was, wouldn't you say, Milo, most of that night we could not like see in front of us really because of the smoke?
No, it's like even when you close your eyes, since the current was so strong, you just end up in a different spot like where you were, and it's just you're like moving all around, you didn't even know.
You had to be exhausted, right? Also, just fighting the water.
We weren't really exhausted because of our adrenaline was just running. So
it's surprising how much adrenaline will take you through. There wasn't like a point where I felt like I couldn't, you know, stand anymore, or couldn't paddle. We were worried about my mom at one point because her breathing was getting bad and she looked really tired. So we were like, do you remember that, Milo? When we were like, Mom, it's gonna be okay. Like, you can't. I can't remember because, but to me it said like she said she couldn't. She's like, I can't do this anymore. We thought we heard her say that. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't asked her, but I thought I heard that. And when I heard that, I was like, whoa, this is like serious, because we did like, I don't know what we would have done if we, you know, if we had to see her. I saw
videos with like women and children in the water as well, like young kids, babies, older people. I mean, who were the other people? Did you recognize anybody there, or just everybody's just?
No one personally, but at the end we got all to know each other kind of. There was one woman in particular. She had a baby in her arms, and a lot of people did. There was a few people who had babies. There was one family who had like 3 young children, but this woman had a baby in her arms, and she stepped on Ivana, sea urchin, when she was in the water, and so we helped her over the wall to get back on the road to get, you know, in the car and all that, or in the truck. So yeah, that was very real. And there were elderly people that ended up needing wheelchairs to get out of there. And yeah, thankfully in my group of that 24, 25, I think was the head count. I think everyone made it, but there were a lot of people in that water who did not.
I think one of the things that's sticking with me, and I'm gonna get you in here, David, is the fact that was the best conditions.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just crazy. That it was that thick. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that you guys could do that. And then your dad usually works in town, but you were up here.
Yep.
So they just were you guys looking for him in town, or were you guys trying to call him and then there was just no reception? Or?
Yeah,
would have had time.
Trying to call. I mean, yeah, we had no time to look. We had to, like, it was either get out of there or get burned. But we were thinking about him while we were in the water because we knew he did, you know, work in Lahaina.
I didn't even think about that until you just said it.
What?
That you guys were thinking I was in town.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that's why you were worried about me, because I forgot. You guys didn't know I wasn't going to work that day.
What's that like hearing?
That was just now. That's the first time I've heard that, and it's like kind of heartbreaking for me to understand now why he was worried about me, because he thought I was in that, which, you know, that would have. Yeah, it would have been hard for me to get out of there too.
It was bad enough. I mean, you lose contact with your home, with your family, and everybody's.
Yeah.
What describe those hours?
Yeah, the hours from the moment that I found out the fire was going on. I didn't find out till about 10:30 at night, and then I got a video of Front Street burning, and I just started to try to call them. They were not available. I did have a friend call me. That he grabbed his neighbor. He's a 98-year-old neighbor who that he takes care of sometimes, and so he grabbed her, put her in the truck, and bailed out of there. And he ended up calling me. So he told me what happened. He says the whole place burned down, and I thought he was exaggerating at first, but then I was like really worried, of course. And then I started tuning into videos hours after that and seeing a picture of their neighborhood. I did see during daylight time, saw their neighborhood on fire. So it was up from the Lahaina bypass looking down, so I could have seen where their neighborhood was and saw that it was in flames. So at that point, I was just hoping that they were all together for one, and that they had all escaped in time, and hoping that Milo wasn't separated, maybe out on his bike like he often is. Or his mom working somewhere, and that just, they were together, thank goodness, and they were able to do their escape. And but those hours were agonizing. It was, I felt guilty sleeping, trying to go to sleep, because I knew I knew I needed sleep because I needed to be ready for the next day's events, but it was just hard to even go there.
Did you ever let your mind go to the dark place, or did you try to stay?
I
like he was
tried
doing
to
the
stay
mantra?
positive, and there was
Okay.
definitely the dark. You'd start going in the dark place of that, and it is funny that I kept thinking of running in the ocean. Well, they can run to the ocean. If anything, you can usually outrun something that's going to be like that and run to the ocean. I thought they could at least run to the ocean. So I kept thinking that could be a possibility. I didn't think, once I found out, wow, that's really what they did. The next day, though, I didn't find out till about almost noon the next day. So close to, a little over 12 hours maybe, that I knew that they had to escape in some form, whether in a car or something. It was that many hours of waiting.
So you hear the story from the boys, and then you see Noah's video.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that for the first time you saw the video?
Oh, the first time I saw the video, I couldn't believe it. It was so agonizing to see, like, them in so much pain. And in the moments this is happening, this is so wild for me to reflect on, is that when it was happening, I was completely oblivious to what was going on the west side. I did not know all this was going on. I didn't go to work because it was windy and they lost power early in the morning, so I knew I wouldn't be able to do any work. So I stayed home, did yard work around here up country, and it was a windy day, but I just went out and mowed the lawn and didn't think anything of it, and went and saw a movie, and I didn't think anything of it until after the movie, and that's when I found out.
Around what time was that after the movie?
10
Really?
to
Wow.
10:30.
So they'd been fighting for the life of the water for 5 hours.
Fighting for their life for hours at that point, and I didn't know.
You just been watching Barbie.
Oppenheimer. Man, I'll say, last couple things for you. Subsequent days after, I mean, you guys are obviously a really close family. I can tell. And then you guys, I mean, what are you trying to do now? Because you have them here within your reach.
Oh yeah. So now we need to figure out school for him, because his school is no longer going to be doing school this year. So we've got to just figure out what to do. I got to figure out about the business. The business is completely, I found out the whole thing is gone completely.
Yeah. Also,
so I have to figure out how to rebuild.
Sorry. Yeah. Also, my mom has a cleaning business in Lahaina, and we ended up escaping in her work van with the day before we went to Costco and got all her cleaning supplies. We watched all of that burn, so also her job is something we need to figure out too.
Yeah. But those are big problems. Those are massive problems.
Yep.
But you can touch yourself. Like,
yeah.
You can put your arms.
Oh yeah.
Right now.
This whole thing right here is like, this is like, at least they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Some brave kids. You guys are really, really brave. I saw you during the video. I know it was intense. I saw your eyes. I saw the fear. I mean, of course it's terrifying. You see this firestorm literally.
I'm really proud of them. I'm really proud of them that they held it together, that they helped their mom, and helped each other. They each were support system for each other. It would have been terrible for them to be alone.
Yeah, I can't imagine if we were separated, like you said, and if Milo was riding his bike, or
I just kept imagining that scenario, because he's always out on his bike, and they told me that they said, no, you can't go out on your bike, it's too windy. So they kept him home and he took a nap. So that's what happened.
Yeah.
Best nap ever.
It's the scariest one to wake up from.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
What's your mission? Like, what would you like to do if you could? Because you get a fresh slate now. You get to start over fresh.
It is very freeing. I want to help, because I mean, our Maui needs a lot of help. So that's kind of, I'm lucky enough to have a little bit of a platform right now. So I'm just getting the word out to people's GoFundMes as much as I can, posting relief charities, and just kind of trying to use my videos to get more attention on this island. Trying not to make it about my experience, because there's so the truth is so many people experienced what what we experienced, and I'm just lucky enough to be able to tell the story. It happened for so many people, so I want to try to get those people's stories out there and just spread the word. Try to get this island help.
Yeah, people are hurting. I mean, they've lost loved ones. They've, you know, you guys are lucky, as lucky as you can be, losing everything. You still have each other.
So lucky. I mean, all our friends are okay. Gio's roommate's still missing. We don't know where she is. We're hoping she sort of turns up somewhere. But yeah, I was lucky enough. All my friends live up country and they're all safe. Every single one of them, everyone I know has offered all the help they can. Like, it's been incredible how much everyone on the island has stepped up.
Now we just need the mainland too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool, man. Thanks.